Hey guys, Weeby News here. So today I'm going to be doing my long-awaited character analysis of Nagito Komaeda. And I've been waiting a very long time to do this, and I'm happy that a lot of you guys were interested in me doing this as well. Also, before I start, I'm sure a few of you guys have probably already heard, but Chunsoft did announce that Super Danganronpa 2 is going to be coming to Steam on April 18th, which is pretty exciting. Hopefully we'll get Ultra Despair Girls next, cross our fingers. But I just figured I'd mention that if you guys hadn't heard already. It's no secret that I absolutely love Komaeda, and I really appreciate how complex his character is. So, without further ado, let's begin. So, I feel like Komaeda is a highly misinterpreted character in the fandom, and the two most common stereotypes I see for him are the complete psycho gag character or the precious cinnamon roll who did nothing wrong. And although these stereotypes can be fun to joke about when drawing comics or writing fanfictions, parodies, etc., I think it's important to really try and analyze his actions and understand why he thinks and acts the way he does without persecuting him or defending his actions. The most important part about understanding Komaeda's character is by playing through his free time events, so this is where I'm going to start. Some of the most important facts revealed about his character in these events are the illnesses he's diagnosed with, these being frontotemporal dementia and malignant lymphoma in its third stage. So the type of dementia he has is a disease where the frontal and temporal lobes of the brain put abruptly rot away or shrink. The disease is incurable, and the life expectancy of someone diagnosed with this disorder can range from 2 to 10 years. The disorder can cause an array of symptoms including social inappropriateness, a lack of empathy, obsessive-compulsive behavior, muscle weakness, etc. Malignant lymphoma is where lymphs are a group of cancers where the cells of the lymphatic system become abnormal and grow uncontrollably. Unlike frontotemporal dementia, this disease is curable, and Komaeda states that he is in his third stage of it. In the third stage of lymphoma, it is found to be above and below the diaphragm, and cancer may have spread to another area next to the lymph nodes or into the spleen. So from these main two diseases, we can already see some sort of explanation for the way he acts. Specifically, from his dementia, we can see why he has so much trouble interacting with the others, and an insight as to why he is so obsessed with hope and the lack of empathy he shows for those he's willing to sacrifice for hope. This is the next point I want to tackle. He explains to Hajime that luck to him is absolute power, and that the reason he is so optimistic during the most despair-inducing moments, such as the killing school trip, is because to him it foreshadows the ultimate luck that is awaiting him afterwards. One of the main reasons he expresses that he sees it this way is because this cycle of good luck and bad luck has been affecting him for his whole entire life. Some examples include the bad luck where his parents were killed in front of him on an airplane, and then the good luck how he gained freedom and inheritance from that. Another example is the bad luck when he was kidnapped by a murderer in middle school, and then the good luck from that was that he found a winning lottery ticket inside the trash bag he was stuffed in, which led to him winning $300 million. He also talks about his situation on the island in the same fashion. The good luck being that he was accepted by Hope's Peak Academy, and the bad luck that he ended up in the killing school trip. In his mind, these events completely balance themselves out in terms of their weight of being good or bad. So it's one of those situations that I assume one could see the glass half empty or half full. And knowing Komaeda's optimistic personality, he probably chooses to see it half full. Going back to discussing his dementia though, I think that this can really explain his obsession with hope and his beliefs about his cycle of good and bad luck. One of the side effects of dementia is obsessive-compulsive disorder. This is a mental disease that convinces those who have it to have unreasonable thoughts and fears that convince them to perform obsessive and compulsive behaviors. An example of this would be washing your hands compulsively and obsessively, which would be you think that you have like a germ that could kill you, so you just continue to wash your hands a significantly large amount of times in order to get it off, even though it was probably never there in the first place. The way in which we see Komaeda perform these behaviors is by trying to control his cycle of good and bad luck, by trying to cause the despair-inducing events in order to, in turn, cause a hopeful one. We see this both when he attempts to kill the ultimate imposter in Super Danganronpa 2, and in another episode when he assists Monika in her plans. Although I doubt he would ever fully admit it, I think that a lot of the bad luck events that happened in Komaeda's life early on really hurt him a lot deeper than he's willing to admit. Being kidnapped by a murderer is an incredibly traumatizing experience that would usually take years and years of therapy for a person to get over. But in his free time events, he simply brushes over it, same with his parents' murder, acting as if it wasn't a big deal at all. One of the reasons he might have brushed over this is probably because he doesn't think he's worthy to be expressing such sadness to what he believes Hajime to be an ultimate. But anyways, I'm guessing these events were probably extremely tragic for him. Probably so tragic that he never wished to experience that sort of pain again, and maybe he even felt guilty for causing some of the events like his parents' death because of his cycle of good and bad luck. Maybe if his good luck ended up in them going on the trip, and the bad luck ended up killing his parents, he could feel responsible because he believes that this sort of cycle he's trapped in was what killed them. So in a lot of ways, I think there's probably times where he blames himself for these events. And this is the reason I believe he often tries to control the cycle of good and bad luck partially because he doesn't want to feel that way again, but also because he honestly is trying to choose what he believes is best for everyone. What I mean is that in Komaeda's mind there has to be a bad event following a good event, even if it's completely coincidental his whole entire life. In his mind, the cycle of good and bad luck is real to him. So basically the reason he sort of does these despair-inducing events is because he wants to control what happens in these bad moments because he believes that they have to happen once a good thing happens. And the reason he does this is because he doesn't want to be taken off guard like he was probably with his parents' death and with the murderer kidnapping him. And probably the reason he tries to control these events a lot is because he's sort of deciding what the best bad event to happen is, because if it just sort of happens on its own, he doesn't have any control over it. But if he's sort of deciding, he probably thinks of himself sort of like a martyr deciding what's best for the group because this event in his mind has to happen. I also think this is why he mentioned to Hajime in the free time events that luck was absolute power to him, because he sort of thinks that he has the power to control the good and bad that happens to everyone. Of course, the second point I think is a little bit more present in Super Danganronpa 2, at least because another episode is a bit of a different story since he had fallen into despair at that point. In the final free time event you have with him, he reveals to Hajime his life-threatening illnesses and expresses that due to his self-righteous ideologies, he has pushed everyone away. He states that this was fine before when he was healthy, but now that he's dying, he's sad knowing that he'll die alone, and that truly he really just wanted someone to love. Hajime begins to sympathize for him until Komaeda states that this was from a book he read. Hajime gets aggravated by this, questioning if he made up everything. Komaeda neither agrees or disagrees, but asks if Hajime hates him enough to kill him now, and that he'd be willing to help him create the perfect crime if he agreed. So it's generally accepted by the community that Komaeda wasn't lying about his past because honestly everything explained previously made sense. But I also choose to believe that he wasn't lying about not wanting to die alone too. And this is because he shows several times throughout the series that he wants the approval and acceptance of the Ultimates, even though he does optimistically settle with them hating him. I think one of the reasons he decided to lie about lying basically is because he might not have wanted Hajime to get close to him due to his short life expectancy. He's extremely self-deprecating in the eyes of the Ultimates, so he probably didn't want to burden Hajime by having him care about him since he has such a short life expectancy, and if Hajime did care about him, this would ultimately hurt him in the end. So the last part I'm going to discuss from Komaeda's free time events is the infamous love confession. This is sort of one of those lines that became lost in translation. In the official English translation, he states, "Please don't forget, from the bottom of my heart, I am truly in love with the hope that sleeps inside you." And in the Japanese version, he states something more similar to, "Please don't ever forget, from the bottom of my heart, that I love ... I love the hope inside of you." Now, at first glance, these translations don't seem that different, but many people claim that it's supposed to be implied that Komaeda is confessing his love for Hajime, but is too shy to admit it and says he loves the hope sleeping inside of him instead. Also, in the Japanese version, he uses the term ashiteru, which is basically translated into English as "I love you." And culturally, in Japan, it's a term that's only supposed to be used when talking to a partner that you have a very long-term romantic relationship with. I found a Tumblr post that explains it, the translation part of it, a bit better in the description if you guys want to check that out. Overall, I personally believe it's very apparent that Komaeda feels a very strong bond to Hajime, whether it's romantic or not, because in reality, if you do complete all of Komaeda's free time events as Hajime, then really Hajime is the only one to really try and understand him and get to know him from the group. And out of all the members of the Super Danganronpa 2 cast, Hajime really does exemplify hope the most, since he does solve most of the things in the trials and is always leading everybody to the right outcome pretty much. But moving on from how he acts in Super Danganronpa 2, I want to talk about Junko's influence on him and how he acts in another episode. Firstly, I want to talk about Junko's influence. It always really surprised me that Komaeda was a remnant of despair with his obsession with hope, and it surprised me even more at the end of another episode where he stated to Monika that he both loved and hated Junko more than anyone else. Basically, I think the reason he both loves and hates Junko is because he hates the despair she brings, but loves the opportunity it brings for hope to overcome it. So basically, she has the opportunity to bring the thing he hates the most and the thing he loves the most. I'm guessing that the way she convinced him to get involved was that she tempted him with the ultimate hope that would rise from the despair they built. And even though seeing hope rise was his initial goal, when joining the remnants of despair, it is heavily implied that he gets brainwashed by Junko himself while still maintaining his love for hope, which leads him to having an array of mixed feelings. A lot of people also speculate that maybe Junko used the lack of love that Komaeda received in his life as a way to brainwash him as well, like in the free time events when he states that all he ever wanted was somebody's love, and of course he claims that that was a lie at the end of the free time event, Of course, a lot of us speculate and think that he was telling the truth, so many people believe that Junko may have manipulated him by exploiting that factor of him as well. When he talked to Izuru about her on the boat, he did mention that he wanted to meet AI Junko so that he could kill her, since he was unable to kill the real one. But as he continues explaining himself, he becomes increasingly confused, questioning whether or not he really does hate her. It's also revealed that after her execution, Nagito cut off his left hand and put hers in its place to try and steal her power, but also to feel close to her. Something I found interesting was how his outlook on hope versus despair changed before and after Junko's influence. In Super Danganronpa 2, he's willing to kill for the opportunity of hope, but in that game it does seem that he has more of a line he's not willing to cross in order to build hope, while in another episode he doesn't seem to have a line at all. Basically what I mean by this is that in Super Danganronpa 2, when he finds out that he and the rest of these students, besides Chiaki, are all remnants of despair, he plots to kill all of them, including himself, implying that he doesn't believe the despair they would bring would be a good foundation for hope. Which is contradictory to what he does in another episode when he basically offers an assisting Monica to become the next Junko. So I think in a way Junko could have possibly influenced him by sort of raising the stakes of hope and despair for him. Maybe she convinced him to be more selfish by sacrificing more people so that he could witness true hope before he died. So this basically concludes my analysis part of this video, but I hope you guys enjoyed and you're still following along. I understand that he is sort of a doozy to understand. But moving on to some sort of facts and trivia about his character that I found to be interesting. The first thing I want to mention is that there were several different beta designs for Nagito before they decided on the actual one. And basically Kodaka did reveal in an interview that Nagito was planned to be the main character's rival, and his design was based around the image of a Shinigami, or a god of death. Kodaka also revealed that he created Nagito to be a strong rival and sort of a dark version of Naigi's character, sort of like if Nagi had gone down the wrong path. He also stated that it required a lot of courage to draw a character holding so many contradictions, but once he got over that, he really enjoyed making the portrayal. Also in the official fanbook for Danganronpa, Nagito is given a execution called Rope Master. Basically, according to the Wikia page, this execution is described to have Nagito standing on a platform that resembles the circus's flying trapeze. Then countless ropes are hung onto the platform. Monokuma begins to cut off the ropes one by one, but none of the ropes are connected to anything. Frustrated, he punches the cutting machine and sets the platform on fire. Monokuma escapes, but Nagito, with no ropes or any other way to escape, dies. In Chapter 3 of Super Danganronpa 2, it's also implied that the reason the despair disease affected him more so than some of the other people that were contaminated, such as Ibuki or Akane, was because he was already so ill with the lymphoma and the dementia. Like I mentioned before, Nagito is supposed to be a darker parallel to Mikoto Naigi, and his name is also supposed to be an anagram for Naigi Mikoto Da, which translates to I am Mikoto Naigi. It's implied throughout Super Danganronpa 2 that one of Nagito's favorite hobbies is reading, and the reason for this is because he isn't affected by his luck cycle when he does this. And finally, Nagito does have his own character song, which is called Poison, and it is sung by his original voice actor from the Japanese version, Megumi Ogata. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was definitely the most challenging video to make. I had to do the most research, even outside of Danganronpa, to sort of come to understand his character a little bit more, which, of course you guys know I love Nagito a lot already, but I did feel like I got to know him a lot better and understand him more from doing this, so that was really fun to do too. And I know recently I sort of requested for you guys to give me more ideas for character analyses and stuff like that, and honestly it's super funny because I've seen just like an array of like completely different characters. So I've seen everything from like Toko to Ibuki to Gundam to Celise, and I'm honestly not completely sure who I'm going to do next. I still think it would be really cool to do Junko or like Hajime, just because with Junko I could talk a lot about Zero, and Hajime I could really kind of dip into why he became Izuru, because I think that's really interesting. But just other news, I was actually thinking I'm getting pretty close to like 3,000 subscribers, so I was thinking it might be fun to do like a live stream or something soon. I'm not sure how you guys would think about that. I'm not like a Let's Play channel at all, but I got like a Twitch account recently. If you guys want to find me, it's just Weeby News. I haven't really done anything on there, but I was thinking that possibly like a live stream would be sort of fun. There's a ton of fan games for Danganronpa, so I could play one of those, or I know a few of you guys have mentioned Zero Escape, and I hadn't actually played any of the games before, but I did download the iOS version for the first game of that series if you guys would be interested in me playing that. I haven't started it yet just because I was sort of wondering if you guys wanted to see me live stream it. But anyways, thank you so much for supporting this channel. I really appreciate it. and I will try to keep you guys updated on 3 and V3 like always. There hasn't been that much announcements involving that. I really think we're probably not going to get anything from April from what I've heard, but once I hear anything, I will be sure to post something immediately. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you real soon.
Subscribe to Weeby News for more hope-filled videos.